Welcome to the Customer Service University. This 12-part series equips CX professionals with the insights to excel in the industry. Join us as we unlock the secrets to becoming a leader in customer experience with guidance from top experts. Your journey to the top begins now. Welcome to episode 2 of our series where we explore how artificial intelligence is redefining the analysis of customer interactions. Joining us today is Manu, Director of Insights at Etech Global Services, who will share insights on how AI-driven analytics uncover deep customer behaviors and preferences. Welcome to the show today, Manu. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good.
So it's so nice to have you on the show today. You know, there's a lot of discussion about AI and customer insights in the world today. Can you just, start us, what sparked your initial interest in AI and how did it lead you to specialize in conversational AI and machine learning?
So my interest in data is very old. I have always been interested in math. I have been a BA before I started working at Etech. Once I joined customer experience industry, one thing I realized was that there was a need to be able to identify trends and patterns in conversations. And for that, you needed something that was much more autonomous than, tagging keywords or people listening to calls. That sparked my interest, and it's always have been about solving problems via automation. And then I started learning more, learned a lot about machine learning in the last 6 years, and that's how here I am.
Your extensive background. What was your very first job in the call center industry?
My very first job in a contact center industry was an agent. I was an agent for a very big university. Basically, I used to take chats for them and help people make career decisions.
I've said this before on camera. One of the things that I trust most is when someone starts as an agent or they speak about agents more than anything else. In our industry, so much of what we do depends on the agents, but we very rarely see things from the agent perspective. So your journey from starting as an agent, I think, is one of the most important aspects of why you're credible in this industry. Why don't we start with the lesson today? To kick things off, let's talk about how AI has transformed how businesses analyze customer interactions. Manu, how has AI started to change things?
That's a very good question, Dennis. And to answer that, we have to look a little into how contact centers were analyzing or how companies were analyzing voice of customer or customer interaction before AI was there. The process was very manual. People were listening to calls, and people were trying to listen to 5, 10, 15 calls to be able to make decisions on how and what customer wants from them basically. Then keyword spotting came in and people started, applying keyword spotting to understand real world patterns and so on. However, the biggest problem has always been scale so that you can listen to each one of your customer and ensure everybody matters and you can prioritize based on what everyone is saying. Second, using that scale, identify trends and pattern in conversations. Now that you are listening to 100% of your conversation, for an example, right? It'll be very easy for you to be able to identify things like why people are calling me. What are some of the most frequent issues that my customers have? Or what are some of the things that my customers love about me? And once you start analyzing all of this big data and start finding trends and pattern in it, now you are able to solve problems not just about agents or about people, but processes and technology as well. So now you have a very 360-degree overview of everything that your customers are saying and be able to use that information to solve real-world problems.
That sounds pretty fantastic. Do you have any real-world examples of where this is actually making a difference?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, let's talk about a telecommunication customer. They have thousands of agents across the globe. Now, the problem that they were facing was that the contact center capacity was increasing every day. They needed more people every day. The call volume was going high a little, but not as much as it will translate into adding on so many agents so frequently. So they wanted to understand exactly what's happening. When we looked at millions of calls that they are taking every month to understand exactly what was happening, we were able to identify things like why people call. Then also be able to tag that with how is on a bell curve, how much time is an average agent taking to be able to resolve that concern. What are they doing to ensure that they are able to resolve that concern, and what are your top performers doing now to be able to replicate that so that everybody can do it in the same time. So this helped us ensure that their AHT reduces. So one of the use case was AHT. We were also able to identify automation opportunities where you wouldn't really need an agent to do the same mundane things that you need them, that people are asking every day. For an example, a password reset, or how do I update my account details. So that was the second use case which we were able to automate and ensure we are able to find automation opportunities. The third can be hold time, for an example. So now we have seen in our research, in our experience in last decades, that hold time is directly proportional to customer sentiment. The longer they are on hold, the worse customer will be feeling by the end of the call. Of course, there are other things that go into the environment like resolution, FCR and so on, but hold time is very important metrics if you want to keep your customer happy. For this customer, we were able to identify exactly what is driving high hold times and then work with them to ensure we are able to drive impact by upgrading people, process and technologies that were driving this hold time. Sometimes it's not really an agent fault, right? It can be that agent is not empowered with the right tools to be able to solve that problem quick enough. So now we were able to identify things that drive high hold time and reduce that as well. Overall, in this use case of AI, we were able to improve the contact center capacity by more than 30% in just 60 days by using all of this, churn through speech analytics especially. One more use case can be retail. So one of our customers, they had 6 to 7 different contact centers across 7 different locations. And now the problem was, and this is a traditional problem that every contact center has always had, one vendor was always selling and doing much more than every other vendors. Even though they were all getting same type of calls, they were all getting same type of training, some people always overperformed everybody else. And as contact centers, we have always taken that as just a fact that somebody would always do better than everybody else, and we call them top performers, and that's it. What we did was we were able to analyze the behaviors that make somebody a top performer and then helped our customers replicate that across the vertical, across the vendors, and be able to improve things like conversion, retention, and ensure that there is a real world ROI impact of speech analytics. So these are few use cases that are being used in real world right now to solve real world problems using AI.
Thank you for sharing those real world examples. To clarify, because I want to be certain I understand this, because AI has been a very big conversation, especially since OpenAI released ChatGPT, but these technologies have been developing for a few years. I happen to know there's a lot of misunderstanding in the industry, and one of the reasons that I'm working on this educational series is to clarify for people working in the call center industry to have an accurate perspective. These technologies and these use case examples that you've given, certainly you've been working on them for a while. They create better accuracy in monitoring across a large volume of agents. Rather than being able to sample a couple of agents, you're able to monitor the entire population of agents all at once. You're able to listen to all of the conversations at scale. You're able to unify your understanding of the conversations and the quality, not just across an entire call center, but across multiple call centers. And what this does is create a unified business perspective across divisions, locations, geographies, and the organization. Is that what you're saying is available in the market today?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. How long has this really been available?
The technology has been there for more than a decade. To be honest, some of the companies that work on this were founded back in 1996, coming out of a lot of companies in Israel, in Georgia Tech and so on. So the tech has been there for a very long time, but it has evolved recently. So in 2018, Google released a model called Transformers, that actually changed a lot of how we transcribe these conversations. And that improved accuracy made everything so much more possible, because now we weren't dealing with, some of the transcriptions being inaccurate and so on.
So while the technology was there for 10 years, you're saying 2018 was when it was really viable. I'm imagining it took a couple of years for teams like yours to package it and apply it to a call center. You've now been applying it to a call center and it's working. How many years ago did it become mature, deployable, and you were able to achieve these sorts of case studies?
So the technology became deployable at least 6 to 7 years ago. As it matured more after 2018, we were able to make it more surgical. However, the impact use case has been there since day one. But since at least last 3 to 4 years, we have been able to deploy and get very real tangible ROI for each one of our customers across multiple use cases.
I think what I'm reaching there for is if I'm a call center agent, I'm a little confused, or if I'm in a call center, I hear this. I hear it's been around for 10 years. I hear in 2018, suddenly it is better. So anything before 2018 wasn't very good, but then it's been deployed for quite a while. But it's been my experience, and I just want clarity for the students and the people listening. It's really only been about 2 years or so, 3 years, that there are certain products in the market that bring all of these pieces together that are mature for one solution. And I just don't really believe that all of the products have all been mature for 10 years. Can you clarify some of that misunderstanding for us?
Absolutely. So the technology has been there for almost a decade. However, it got better as some of the models were released in 2018, and since then the technology has matured and reached a very viable stage since 2020 at least. So for last 3 years we have been working on multiple use cases across verticals, and just to put it in perspective, in just last 2 years, we have processed somewhere around 300 million minutes of data in just conversations. So the technology has been applied across verticals and has turned successful use cases and ROI across different industries in last 3 years at least.
Awesome. Thank you for that background, because I think it's important for people to know the time is now to start acting on these technologies. Can you talk a little bit about what goes into developing and implementing some of these solutions, and how do you align them to business objectives?
That's a very key point, Dennis, because one of the things that we have noticed while we have been implementing these solutions is that unless it aligns to a business objective, it's not a project, it's more of a hobby. So you have to ensure that there are very clear goals set from day one, and you work from there to ensure you find the right tools and right technology to be able to push those goals ahead. There needs to be a very clear single vision on these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I want to achieve. And then you start crawl, walk, run. You pick one use case that you would like to solve first, and then from there you find the right tool and the right technology and the right approach that we need. So the first key thing is having a very clear vision of what you want to achieve through AI. The second key point would be ensuring that you are ready for AI adoption. What I mean by that is the technology has evolved so quickly that it's not really contact center fault that they have a lot of data silos and tech silos, where every tool that they have bought to evolve themselves is not really communicating with the other tool. So now you have 10 or 11 different things on your tech stack, and they all produce their own set of data. They don't really talk to each other. Your people are now putting more effort to get information out of them. So the next best thing is to ensure that you understand the integration opportunities and be able to pull all of this together into one solution that can provide you a comprehensive view of analytics. So integrations is very important. You should always understand what you will need to integrate with, and is that tool ready to integrate with. And the third key thing would be internal adoption. Now what I mean by that is, once you have a very clear vision, You have clear integration, rolled out. The third key thing is to ensure that your teams are ready for it by communicating this vision internally, ensuring they understand how this will positively enable them to be able to accomplish more and help everybody achieve a higher goal that you have set up as a vision. So these are the key things you should focus on when implementing AI internally.
Thank you so much for that. And while we're talking about this stuff, there's this natural language processing, or NLP. Can you just tell us what that is and what it does?
Oh, absolutely. So natural language processing is basically a term that you can say basically a technology that is converting everything that we are speaking into text for people. So now everything that is being spoken is converted into words, and that's exactly what NLP does. That's how it started, and now NLP has evolved to be able to do much more, like being able to understand sentiment based on tones, being able to understand the context of what is being spoken, also being able to predict some of the words that are being spoken to ensure very high accuracy. So natural language processing is basically machines understanding human language and transcribing it for us and contextualizing it for us.
That makes a lot more sense than all these acronyms. And so that must help in a lot of different ways, like quality assurance, for instance. Can you talk about how AI and this natural language processing and this new era is affecting quality assurance process in the contact center?
So when you think about NLP, right, in the end you can say it's capability of the machine to be able to understand human language. Now, who is a better consumer of AI, especially in NLP, than a contact center? We deal with human conversations every day. So what natural language processing is helping achieve contact centers is, now you are able to understand every customer conversations that you are having, be it an audio, be it email, calls, chat, anything. You are also able to process that information into meaningful events and tags for you. It's not just you are getting a paragraph of what was said on the call, but you're able to drive meaning out of it because you're able to train the engines to identify exactly what is important for you. And now that you are able to do all of this on a scale, thousands and millions of calls, now contact center quality is really universal and 360 degree, because you are going through every call and your compliance now becomes 100%. Because you don't have to worry about, was my sample good enough? Did the agents really miss it somewhere? Remember, every single infraction of compliance actually has a fine associated with it. So it doesn't matter if you are reviewing 10 calls per agent per month. If you missed one call, that might actually, result in a fine for you. But now you're able to listen to 100% of them and be very, very sure that compliance being monitored on all of them. Second, when it comes to specific human behaviors as well, now you're not going and talking to people about one issue that they had on a call or something that they did once in last 2 weeks and so on. You are having data-driven conversations where you are talking about trends and patterns within certain call sets. So now when you are giving that quality feedback, it's not confrontational. It's more of a data-driven nurturing where you are ensuring that everybody is succeeding, because there is no buy-in issues anymore, because people know that you are not biased or it's not coming off of one call. Every agent understands that this will help me do better because this is coming from every call that I took.
How long does it take to get all this data compiled and fed back for quality assurance and compliance? Does it go into a big AI machine and then I get it later, or can I get it quickly?
There are multiple ways of doing it. Some use cases are amazing for real time, where agents are able to know what's happening in real time as it's happening. But those use cases are limited because as an agent, I am expected to do a lot while I'm on a call with customer. When I was an agent, I remember I was looking at 15 different screens talking to the customer, and now one more screen, I'm not sure if I would want that for everything. But let's say if I missed a compliance point, makes sense if a machine is reminding me about it. But at the same time, there are post-call use cases as well. So either you get it real time or you get it within 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation being finished. And now you are getting feedback right next after your call, and you're not waiting for a week to get a feedback, right? It's not like I made a mistake last week because I didn't know something. For an example, a wrong verification step. And nobody told me it's wrong until 1 week after when somebody listened to that call. Now I'm getting feedback in the moment. And also AI is helping us coach agents in the moment as well. So now I am able to self-serve in the moment as well, and not just know how, what went wrong, but how to do it better next time, without somebody coming to me and telling me, what went wrong like 7 days after the call itself.
All right. 2 last questions for this lesson for today. The first one is, what are some of the common challenges that people will face when integrating into existing systems, and how do you address them?
2 common challenges that we should look at specifically when integrating with existing systems. A lot of enterprise companies had to build their own systems because CCaaS was not just as evolved as is it today. 20 years back, there weren't just as many platforms, right? So when a company faced a very specific problem, they built a very specific solutions. Now, sometimes they are just not ready to be integrated with other platforms. So one thing you have to ensure is that across the board, you are able to integrate with everything, and it's not really that difficult. There are so much options available now that almost every platform out there in the world is integratable. In my last 6 years, I have not run across one that I wasn't able to integrate with, even if it was a legacy platform. The second problem is ensuring that you are not trying to achieve everything at the same time. What we have seen a lot of companies begin with is, hey, I'm gonna invest in AI, and here is a list of 50 use cases that I want to resolve in next 60 to 90 days to show that this launch has been successful. Now, the biggest problem with that is, first, you are so scattered and you have so many teams working on so many things that you will not be able to implement AI properly. So what you should begin with is a very clear crawl, walk, run approach. Identify very specific low-hanging use cases that you can resolve quickly, maybe top 3, and focus on specifically that and resolve them. Because you know what? That actually gives you a reason to prove within the organization that this is working and gain more buy-in. And then you ensure that all the teams are coming together and you are working within multiple departments instead of a siloed approach, to ensure everybody is first providing their input for this implementation. Second, everybody is getting a use case and ROI out of it.
When we talk about going through this process, how do you measure the success of these deployments in terms of customer satisfaction and business outcomes?
We have always believed in, and this is what I was taught a long time back ago, and I've always seen that this works. There is no better success KPI than your customers actually getting a tangible improvement out of that implementation. We have seen our customers achieve, depending on use case, we have seen our customers achieve things like 30 to 33% improvement in contact center capacity, or 2 to 5% improvement in conversion. So these have always been our success metric. Of course, we start with a very clear metric that ensures that the customer is getting right data, and that is accuracy on confusion matrix, that ensure that the customer has right data. And from then on, the success metric depend on the use case we are looking to resolve. If your use case is contact center capacity, then our success metric should be, did we really achieve that for you? If your use case is conversion, getting more sales, then that should be our success metric as well. The day we have a different success metric than your use case, then we are both working in silos and will not be able to achieve the same goal, because the goals itself are different.
Interesting. Well, as people go through this process, because everyone in the industry has a different stage in their journey, what advice do you have for call center leaders who are on their journey? What advice would you give them looking to leverage AI to enhance the customer experience inside their call centers?
I think the best thing is to start today. If you are thinking about starting somewhere this year, or you are interested in this and want to start today. Maybe start with a blog, an article, learn a little more about AI, there is so much information available out there on YouTube or podcasts like this where you can go and learn more about your own industry. And once you have understood the vertical a bit, then start going deeper into how machine learning functions itself, because that will help you understand the results you are getting. And I'm not talking in technical level as you are you are coding or anything like that, but simple explanatory video. Ensure you are reading blogs, you are reading articles, you are going through specific machine learning courses based on your industry or your vertical or the use case that you are trying to resolve. One key thing that really helped me when I started, I picked a use case which was very interesting to me, and I worked backward from there to understand how I will resolve this using ML. And it took me 6 months, but I was able to resolve it. And in the process, I learned so much. It was better than, anything alone out there, basically.
Manu, we're not dissimilar, the two of us. I often reverse engineer a lot of things to figure out how things work. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your insights today. I really think you've helped us understand how to unlock customer insights with AI, especially in the call center industry. And for those of you tuning in, thank you so much for listening today. Next week, Episode 3 will be Seeing the World Through Your Customer's Eyes. We'll have a special guest, Patrick Reynolds, who will help us walk through everything we need to know about seeing the world through your customer's eyes in the customer contact industry. Thank you for joining us again, Manu. Thank you for your time and your expertise. And for those watching, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Dennis. This was amazing.
Thank you for joining us for this Customer Service University lesson. Discover how QEval can enhance your operations with real-time analytics, predictive insights, and comprehensive quality management. Visit QEvalPro.com/learn to connect with our experts and exclusive support.